I'm looking for a way to see. Na 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 na
There was a lot of dance activity going on. There was like an academic world and a world of studios, like people were coming out of Joan Kerr's studio or Arthur Hall. Group Motion was in town. And there were a few of us who just wanted to do untrammeled improvisation and begin to experiment with just that and begin to kind of get rid of all our learned techniques and find our own voices and our own styles, and so that's how we started. I had a studio on Church Street, which I shared with a number of other artists, because we actually in the beginning couldn't even afford to have a studio, so we all chipped in, and there were a lot of musicians, and we came and we played music and danced, and then more and more different dancers were attracted to what we were doing. Old City became a place where you could get cheap lofts. There were sculptors and painters and musicians.
A group of us who were good friends started taking Terry's workshop every week, and it was fantastic. We would just go to Church Street and walk up the steps and improvise, and
there was a kind of freedom in it, giving it more over to you, more to create your own.
Right, and there were kind of, it was maybe a little bit more naturalistic and pedestrian. Movements kind of worked into improvisational structure, so you would kind of walk around and then just kind of connect and start improvising.
It was just like this hangout where people would just sort of show up and like, you know, and Jeff Kane lived there, and he's a composer, musician, and musicians hung out there, and things would just, it was sort of like a hotbed of activity, and Old City wasn't like Old City is now. It was like really desolate.
I felt comfortable, you know, like, okay, here people are experimenting with form and process, separate from traditional technical formats or traditional technical movement. So it was great. So just anything went. And then I met other people at her studio. I met Ishmael there, and he and I did some contact improvisation together. And Jeff Kane made a film for a Dance on Ice I made.
There was a thing called Dance Day, which was every year. I think it was in June, and it would just be everybody in the community that was working. Terry would invite all of us to do like a 5 or 10 minute piece.
It was about how can we do work with these men that we really love being with and are intimate with and are part of our lives and relationship, because in the dance world we weren't really doing that in other pieces.
And we also included in that personal stories and coming out stories and stories about our fathers. And I think it was really a process of us coming out and coming to terms with our own sexuality. It was really, the period was very, you know, early gay liberation and sexual revolution. So we were finding our way in that and finding our identity.
We were all doing other things and other art forms. Michael was still working with ceramics and clay, and I was doing contact improv and other forms of dance and performing with other people. And it was just like, it was like
making music for others.
Yeah, I was performing and working with other dancers and singing and writing songs.
So it was sort of like this sort of very percolating time where people were, it was a very important time in our lives when we were like just trying a lot of different things, and this was one important aspect, but it was only one aspect of what we were doing.
We saw ourselves as individuals and independent dancers that just worked by themselves or with pickup companies or whatever. So that was a sort of new phenomenon. So it didn't have any kind of credence or, gravity to it. It was hard to get support because you weren't a company, you were just an individual artist.
I just paid for things out of my own pocket, but we felt that we just had to work. We were just exploring things, and it was just going to happen no matter what, whether it was a grant or a performance opportunity or what. We were just doing work. It just felt like we were part of a movement in that way, that we were exploring ideas, and the people around us were all doing that. Nobody was choreographing in a closet alone. We were influencing one another.
It was the gallery scene, there was the Painted Bride Art Gallery. Etage, which was a performance and art gallery on North 3rd Street. I performed in the Nexus Gallery and 3rd Street Gallery. And pretty much we took to the fields, or, the vacant lots and the rooftops and the streets and parks and stuff to dance as well. We saw the whole city as our stage.
Made you feel like you were being seen. And that's the important thing about dance. You can't just have an idea and just go with your friends and make something. It needs to be seen so people can respond to it and that you feel like it's made a difference in the world of ideas.
I think the dance community didn't know what we were about, really. But we had a lot of following with visual artists and the musicians. I think they were more our audience in the beginning, and adventuresome dancers who saw some seeds of different kinds of movement sources in our work. I went to Jerry Givnish at the Painted Bride and said, would he help us get some support to rent the Harold Prince so that we could present our work in a more formal little theater. In 1980, I curated a program of artists who were working in then sort of what became postmodern styles. So I thought, well, let's revisit those artists. I think it's really important that artists, and particularly dancers, are remembered as part of the landscape, as part of the vitality of a city, for instance. That they're just as important in what was happening in a particular time as anything else. It's all part of that fabric that makes up how we live our lives and what we experience in this city. It's really about we were here, we did these things, and somewhere along the way someone else may find that of interest.